was originally going to sit down and actually make a commentary on the video in question. However, after serious consideration, seeing as this video is actually the length of a full-featured film, clocking in at an unneeded hour and 42 minutes, I decided we don't need a 3-hour-long video addressing everything. Because in the end it would really have been Doodletones the Movie 2 screaming into the void. Okay, so a lot of Sapphire Sonic fans' video is just him saying that I don't debunk them and then goes on to not understand a damn thing, which on its own would be tedious, but not infuriating, as at least I'd been able to skip around to just address the points he failed to understand. But no, he took it a step further than he really should have, tossing absolutely every ad hominem he could at Dark Crimson Knight and I, and cuts off Scarlet, wanting her to just shut up, before turning around and getting on to our cases for a few pot shots. Now, don't think of this as a double standard. He does actually, throughout several points in the video, just cut in to call me stupid and nothing else. Which, for someone who got on my case for calling him Sonic Scrub, that's really telling. Comes off as him having a personal vendetta against me due to the fact that, well, I commentated on him and not actually because I may have made invalid points against him. Also, throughout this video, he seems to take every joke seriously.
So the final conclusion we have to draw from this is, not funny plus not funny equals not fucking funny! I mean, do these people have to go back to Film 101? If you want a joke to work, you need humor! Don't you know that?!
Either that or just try that it sucks without understanding that humor is subjective. Such as my favorite example being early into his part 1, where he asks why I call Rad Sonic Plush Mega Man after Rad Sonic Plush called himself Mega Man. Good job there, Sapphire. Due to these two problems, I came to the conclusion that this man either has autism, on one of the more extreme parts of the spectrum, or narcissistic personality disorder.
Hey everyone, my name is Mega Man.
Oh, hi, Mega Man!
I'm sorry to go off telling you this personally, but why exactly are you calling him Mega Man when you know he could just be role-playing as him? Because at least from what I've heard, his channel is about plush videos and such.
Oh, hi, Mega Man! You sound a lot like Knuckles from a previous commentary. Went to Google how I could tell if somebody does, before realizing that I'm totally lying to you guys and I'm not actually professional enough to diagnose someone with that in seriousness. Now, if that wasn't enough, let me get into presentation issues before I actually start getting on his case about the major points he made throughout the video. Sapphire Sonic's fans' overall tone of voice throughout this video made sitting through this already chore into waiting in line at the DMV during a time where everyone is getting their license renewed at the same damn time. Seriously, Sapphire, write a damn script for future videos because you are not good off the cuff. Your depressing tone makes me want to blow my brains out while at the same time wondering how long it'll take you to do the same. You speak slower than frozen molasses and you meander on and on about points that should only take you 30 seconds to actually say. Don't get me wrong, elaboration is great when you actually have something to say. When you just say, oh, you proved me right because you proved me right, and here's why you proved me right. You proved me right by proving me right, that's how you proved me right. That ain't elaboration, that's meandering, and it gets straight up repetitious and tedious to sit through. Oh yeah, and acknowledging you need a script doesn't change the fact that you don't have one, especially when you say that and then go on to not write a script. I would also like to say, get a fucking microphone. Please. Text-based commentaries are not only wonky and boring to watch, but structurally, they suck as points that are short become long and pointless. Jokes fall flat on their face, and worse yet, it shows incredible laziness from your end. And if you intend to keep doing text-based commentaries, fucking add music or be a lost cause. So, look, I'm not against long videos. Hell, I love long videos because it gives me something to listen to while I'm doing things. Hell, my favorite commentary of last year was just 5 minutes shorter than this video, but the difference was they actually had things to say and were able to keep me invested throughout the whole length of the video because they were just interesting people to listen to, because you could tell that they actually cared enough about what it was they were talking about and didn't just make it due to personal vendettas. Cough, cough.
How did I not see that coming? How did I not see that coming? How did I not see that coming? How did I not see that coming?
The same that I can say on the basis of your presentation alone, but of course that's not the end of the story because we also have the points to go along with it. So, his argument at Jun Sumoto's introduction is the fact that he's doing some sort of parody of people who do commentaries on trolls. Which, okay, that's fine and good and all, if it didn't come off as utter damage control due to the fact that you made a big stink about the commentary in the comment section. If it was a parody from the word go, then you should have actually told us from the beginning, else it comes off as, oh shit, someone did a video on me, time to damage control. He also accuses Crimson and I of hating Pokemon because we defended Jun Sumoto, which that's not how it works. Given that we covered your video because you commentated on a troll and made really ridiculous points, not because we simply disagreed with your opinion. We state this in the first video by pointing out that you could have debunked Jun Sumoto's point when you failed to when we brought up Japanese culture, which we'll get to later. On top of that, if the logic worked as, I'm defending you, therefore I agree with everything you say, then I would not have some of my best commentaries, as those are the ones where I covered multiple degrees in a chain, basically pointing out that multiple people are stupid. Hell, going back to the Japanese culture point, I do that there as well. So for starters here, he kinda just assumes that he didn't say what he said, only to go on and say that he said something even more retarded. The thing being, oh, I didn't say parents would disallow their kids from playing Pokemon, I said their birds would disallow people from playing Pokemon. Which has to be hands down dumber, because how would birds prevent their children from playing Pokemon when birds don't normally play Pokemon? The fact that I had to argue this is truly telling. That's also ignoring the fact that I had put a link into that video in the description to Rin Co-op's Collide, despite the fact that you deleted the fucking thing to cover your tracks. In other words, blatantly ignoring the research to get a refresher on what it is that you had said. And I think the reason that you did this, though I won't say I'm 100% certain on this, is to spite the fact that we had Boonslayer voice you because text-based videos break the flow of the video.
Sorry for overusing that clip in my commentaries, but no! It's for people who are mentally mature. Parents would just forbid their children from watching or playing Pokemon.
Parents would just forbid their children from what?
Parents would just forbid their children from watching or playing Pokemon.
Sheesh, talk about dumb, yeah, what a dumb bee.
That covers most of that segment due to the fact that all of his arguments were built on amnesia. The next segment is all one argument about how Sonic Master 16, as Sonic Master 16, doesn't actually argue Jun Sumoto's point about Pokemon being for geeky nerds. Being the only thing he addresses is that it's stereotypical and that's it. Rad Sonic Plush misses that point, and Sapphire afterwards continues to misunderstand the point that we gave Rad Sonic Plush, being that we were just telling RSP that he was arguing a point that wasn't actually there, actually strawmanning the second degree. This is a problem because it distracts from the video at hand, and instead of understanding this, Sapphire just kind of blathers on about how Sonic Master had a legitimate point because he remembers it differently, which again ignores the actual evidence to the contrary. This is followed by the Japanese culture bit. So, this point is a little weird, because in all honesty, the whole fucking segment is fucking strange. Junsumoto's point was that Pokemon makes people believe that it's real Japanese culture, which it's not. Sonic Master says, just because there are things rooted in Japanese culture, doesn't mean it's real Japanese culture. And that's what we have to go off of for the rest of the segment. And one thing that I realized is that we didn't address the bigger picture with that, being that Sonic Master is actually agreeing with Junsumoto, as Junsumoto is saying that it's not Japanese culture, and Sonic Master says, yeah, it's not Japanese culture. So, that's a thing. That said though, Pokemon is still real Japanese culture due to the fact that there are things rooted in, well, real Japanese culture. At least for the first 4 generations. That's not mentioning the impact that Pokemon has made on modern Japanese culture itself, being that it helped globalize a lot of the culture of yesteryear, which on its own is massive for a culture that spent a lot of its time still cooped up in its room all day not sharing the great discoveries it's made, metaphorically speaking. And that's not all it did, because in Japan itself it became one of, if not the most popular thing in Japan, as it started huge trends within Japan's pop culture, turning into, if I am to make a rough comparison, what the Flintstones or the Simpsons is to America, being a core to a reoccurring trend. And that's just 2 examples I can bring up off the bat. Imagine what actual research could do. In other words, while it probably shouldn't have been the argument we were making, we were still right in saying it.
You looked at me funny! Let's battle!
Whoa, I don't want to fight you!
Too bad! You walked in front of me! Let's battle!
Whatever, next point. I think I can quickly summarize the Nostalgia Critic argument with this. Junsumoto says the Nostalgia Critic hates Pokemon. You saying it's his opinion acknowledges the fact that the Nostalgia Critic hates Pokemon, which was all Junsumoto said. You don't debunk it, shut up. To go a bit further, Sapphire, assuming you watched this, just on the sole basis that you say who gives a fuck it's his opinion, doesn't argue the fact that this is one of the reasons Junsumoto believes Pokemon sucks. Saying it does is blatantly ignorant to what the argument actually is. Also, just because tons of other people like it, that doesn't automatically mean it's good. Oh hey look, it's your own argument being used against you. That's right, Sapphire actually argues in this segment that because of this, continuing on, most of the Chuck Norris point was us being a pair of memes anyway, before pointing out that he had played a media clip for far too long, which played out for 11 seconds, though was shortened to 7 for the sake of my video. He goes on to argue the point that we didn't even address anyway, as this was one point we just kind of shrugged off and left alone, which either means A, he took Chuck Norris jokes way too seriously, or B, is arguing for the sake of arguing. Bottom line, Sapphire still suffers from I don't get it syndrome.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Then we move on to the point Junsumoto calls the mascot of Pokemon gay, and anyone who loves him is gay too, which is basically saying that Pikachu is gay, and anyone who likes him are gay as well, which are basically the same statements.
What? What the fuck?
I'm sorry, how does this statement make any sense? Brad Sonic Plus says only the first part of the statement is an opinion, whereas the call out to people who like Pikachu is an insult. Without realizing that if the Pikachu is gay point is an opinion, then it's Junsumoto's opinion that the people who like Pikachu are gay too, being foolish and stupid within context. However, if the people who like Pikachu are gay point is an insult, then the Pikachu is gay point is also an insult. This whole point is basically Sapphire wanting the double standard upheld against Jutsumoto.
So basically what you're saying is that anyone who finds a fictional character cute or just simply likes him and all is gay.
The reason this doesn't work is because you're not putting one statement as too high of a standard to another, when in actuality they're both saying the same thing. Please take the time to listen to what is being said to you, otherwise you're gonna keep misrepresenting everything. And that's all there is to part 1, and would you believe me if I had said part 2 was even worse? Because we start with an overly long intro, him changing his avatar from Tails to Momoko, or Blossom from Powerpuff Girls Z, and continuing to meander on with no script or change in voice tone. Basically everything I've already addressed up to this point. Secret Mountain Fort Awesome, and this guy starts arbitrarily comparing me to Mario to Plumber. Now, I'm not gonna bother looking up who the fuck this guy is, because I don't need to, as it seems like a ham-fisted way to insult me, without realizing that you need to do far better than take a page out of my TP commentary where I call a person out for being sloth boy if you're actually going to insult me. You know, I haven't seen Secret Mountain Fort Awesome, so I couldn't tell you if it's bad or not, but here's the thing though, I don't need to.
Yeah, he has a frickin' point, you know. I mean, what? Are you trying to sound like Mario to Plumber and everything? Like, you know, when in his old videos, he used to say a lot of things like this.
Oh, this game is a ripoff of Nintendo! Sonic's design is fucking hentai! So Sega should Sonic fucking die! Blah blah fucking blah. I mean, what the fuck? Ya morons!
That said, let's actually address the big argument he brings up here, being that his theory could be correct in that Secret Mountain Fort Awesome was cancelled due to having bad animation, which, no, it isn't, considering we had critics praising it for having such an art style. Then after I bring up the fact that it was cancelled, he goes, "Yep, knew it all along, and it got low ratings due to the fact that it had shit animation." And on the off chance that that was the case, it's still due to the low ratings, not the animation itself. That said, it's still safe to assume that animation has nothing to do with said low ratings due to the fact it was nominated for an award for said animation. And yeah, I know Wikipedia can be edited by anyone, but obviously someone hasn't seen my video on the Joshua Tree. Because I will argue that despite the fact Wikipedia can be edited by anyone, you still have citations that Wikipedia can fact check. Else they'll remove what you put and give you a warning because you're breaking their terms of service, being that you cannot give faulty information. Wikipedia is more credible than really anyone gives it credit for. Also, please learn to sarcasm. My point about not being able to look something up until you experience it was meant to be taken with a grain of salt, not a mountain. Continuing on, oh boy, we get to talk about sex, particularly the act of having sex with your hand. You know, masturbation. The reason your argument talking about how Smosh cannot actually masturbate to Pokemon is inane, because masturbation requires something to keep your hot dog a wiener schnitzel, which can and often does just amount to put erotic pictures or straight up pornographic videos.
Say what?
People who get off to bored despite the fact that no human can be swallowed whole by another human, so it existing is not an argument to be had. And honestly, if I can be brutally honest, it kind of shows your maturity level that you're so unaware of this fact. Also, again, I don't disagree with the fact that it can be considered bestiality overall. The fact that there are Pokemon based on plants and ghost Pokemon, could amount to dendrophilia or necrophilia as well, or robophilia if you want to look at a Pokemon like Magnezone. Basically, my point about it too, it's not just bestiality we're talking here, and on the off chance Smosh does jerk into Pokemon, it may not even be the animals we're talking. Oh, but Pokemon are like animals. Okay, but how do you explain Pokemon like Golurk or Spiritomb? Pokemon who are clearly not animalistic and are instead a giant fucking robot in a collection of dead spirits. Even if they act like the rest of the animals, they clearly aren't the rest of the animals seen within the Pokemon world, so it's not inherently bestiality. Hell, you even state they're not all animals within your own video. So in which case, you're agreeing with me, and that's not even taking into account the actual humans of the series.
Well, now the moment I debate your point about Smosh masturbating the Pokemon because you had to misinterpret that point in the video out of nowhere like some stupid motherfucker. Which, unless if you haven't studied on the true meaning of that word here, well, of course Sonic Master 16 was right when he said that Smosh couldn't masturbate to Pokemon because they're not frickin' real. I mean, that's like saying if that someone would want to masturbate to, say, a character like Delphox, which can't be scientifically the case because it's impossible, and which of course because Pokemon are fictional creatures and you can't like masturbate or have sex with something that's not real. Like if you won't misinterpret that point I just made now. And speaking of the whole bestiality and furryism point, I mean, yeah, considering the fact that Pokemon are considered to be like animals in the Pokemon universe, of course this whole thing would just be awkwardly disgusting and weird, like with that scene where Elise kissed Sonic in Sonic 06, if you know that game. Which again, considering the fact that Pokemon are considered to be like animals in the Pokemon universe, I'm not saying that they're all animals, but considering the fact that they are like animals in the Pokemon universe, yeah, this whole thing about masturbation or people having relationships or anything weird like this image with Pokemon and humans can be awkwardly weird and gross.
Continuing with the numbers 2 slot, where he accuses me of being against Tamashi because she liked Pokemon, which isn't the case. I don't like her content because it's simply bad. The video I brought up about Pichu being on a list of Pika clones was an example of how arbitrary her lists become. Because I don't know if you noticed this or not, Pichu isn't a Pika clone. It was just a pre-evolution of Pikachu, which already had an established evolutionary line being Pikachu followed by Raichu. She also said Lopunny was bad because sexism, Sylveon was bad because it ruins the family portrait, and hell, even said the entire evolution line was bad because it was gimmicky. And that's just off the dome. Imagine what actual research could tell me. And yeah, sure, these are her opinions at the end of the day, but these opinions were solely based on absolutely retarded reasons that at the end of the day made no sense.
Everybody in the universe hates Pokemon. Wait a minute. If that were the case, then how the heck would the series, after over 20 years, would be selling merchandise, people buying the games, and just like game series such as Sonic, Mario and Zelda, etc., would it have been a well-selling franchise and such? Have a bit of logic what you say, B-Star Tick.
No, hold on.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down, Crimson. This is actually a well-invested point. And finally, as far as the meat of the video goes, the point that Pokemon will never be as good as Disney, and all he does is contribute to the overall problem with his first video being that he says Pokemon isn't as good as Disney because he thinks Disney is overrated, before, funny enough, going back and saying that Disney gets a lot more hate than Pokemon. So, how does that work? If something is overrated, that means it's getting more praise than it deserves. He also still continues to hop down my throat for my jokes because Doodle's still being a meanie face and I don't like it, and then just kinda goes on to say that Jinzumoto still made awful points despite the fact that it's a troll video and is supposed to be making awful points.
Along with some other guy who was called Dark Crimsonite 89, if I'm correct. Yeah, you know, the guy who's like cute and everything, or baby because he's just sexy and fabulous. Or at least he looks sexy and fabulous in real life.
Meat of everything and not for the shit afterwards. I'm just gonna move on to my final points to this video. I still stand behind what I said in my top 10 worst commentaries of 2016 about this video. This video is nothing but spite at the fact that we called you out. If we actually had invalid points that were so easy to debunk as you like to claim, you would have been able to do so in a reasonable time frame, without making the hour and 45-minute rambly shit fest you did. The only reason I didn't bother breaking it down in commentary form is because I didn't want to waste as much time as you did making this video. Being the walloping half a year it took you to respond to the original video we made on you. And I don't even know how that happened, given that you had no script, no well thought out arguments, and kinda just no point in the end. I would try to give you advice here, but honestly, I have no clue if you're even worth advice, as clearly you just see yourself as better than anyone who does a commentary on you, seen by both this video and your video on Muleheart, which has long since been deleted. You seem to not be willing to change and have quickly become someone I'm just about ready to give up on, which should be saying something considering I'm willing to help Joshua and Nihilistic Snake, who are widely considered lost causes in the commentary community. So, against all odds, that should not be something you want to hear. But, you know what? I'll try. I'll try to give you some form of advice to see where you'll go from here. Honestly, you really need to pay attention to what is being said to you, you need to understand what a joke is, you need to work on your line delivery, you need to write a script, hell, you need to learn what the fuck pornography is. But, most importantly, you need to not hold a vendetta against the people who do videos responding to you. I cannot stress this enough. The biggest issue that 2016 brought us were people doing just that. Holding personal grudges and not being able to make clear arguments on that basis alone. Please consider how you respond, because if you respond to this video like you did in Sonic Scrub's Troll Adventure or When Co-ops Collide, then I'll have to leave you to the sharks. You know what? Fuck you and your whole commentary.
Wait, it's not over? Well, Doodletones, if there is one thing I can say to you, you are just a...
No. Just shut the fuck up, please, you stupid Speakonia voice. Oh, wait. Am I talking out of my real voice now? Oh well, as long as no one's gonna complain about it. Oh yeah, by the way, as for this whole ordeal that you decided to start with Sonic Master 16, well, for the record, this time you have goddamn failed to succeed anything more than your mom can ever polish crap in life. Yeah, get roasted, bitch. Well, anyways, I'm out of here now, and hopefully I won't have to make a video like this again. Bye!